want you to love me.
Square Enix.
War. Lost lives. The fire that tears lovers apart. The flames of war are ablaze once again.
I repeat, unleash your powers for the glory of the Knights of the Seal.
I'm asking you to let me die.
My beauty, it is my sin.
Damn, I am hungry.
What was that? That didn't even touch me. I understand now. This is my destiny.
You're kind and gentle, yet somewhat wild. That's why
I wish I could be a savior.
I'm glad I met you. Goodbye, Noe.
I want to save you.
See me grow wings and fly high.
With all seals destroyed, the world will end. Or maybe it's a new beginning.
It doesn't matter. We're going in.
You. The world would be better off without weaklings like you.
It's all wrong. Everything.
Let Mana go!
Please, don't hate me.
You saw the truth yourself.
Is it over, Kai?
This will be our final battle. Let's go, Noe.
Hello and good day to you. Welcome back finally to Drakengard 2. Oh, I put it off for a while, but I finally got through the third playthrough. Now we're at some new content. And hello, homie. How you doing today? In the game, which nets me a boss rush mode or something. I don't know. It's not actually as important as it was in the first Drakengard, or should I say, necessary for completion. Off to chapter 12 for the third time. The Promised Land, a land where the gods created the world, where humanity was born. Oh yeah, and because I've got all the weapons complete, I can finally read the stories. Well, strap in, I guess. So let's see, Noah's sword. This sword belonged to a hero called Iron Dragon of the Two Swords. It was a gift from a female knight who trained him for his first battle. It saved the lives of many, including Iron Dragon. He cherished it as though it were his own body. One day, Iron Dragon entered a hidden land, led by a priest's divine guidance. There, he met a dragon who spoke the words of men and a child who spoke the words of dragons. Iron Dragon knew right away that this must be the legendary savior, and asked for custody of the boy. But the dragon sneered. What right have you to take this child from his father? What could you possibly offer him? And Iron Dragon replied, I shall become the child's father. Without knowledge of human ways, this child would grow to become a wingless dragon, a pointless creature. I vow to raise him to be a fine knight, so it is a future that I offer to the child. Amused, the dragon said, Fine, you shall take the child, but I shall come with him, for only I can teach him the ways of dragons. Iron Dragon agreed, then presented his sword as a token of his pledge. The dragon sneered at the foolish human gesture, and threw the sword into his lair, the only world his child had ever known until then. Horrors was at Feldenblade. Once, one of Sir Gizmor's men was caught attempting to steal General Orr's sword. When he was brought before his master, Sir Gizmor harshly reprimanded the knight and threatened to execute him. The knight pleaded, I only wish to be more like General Orr. When Orr heard this, he interrupted Sir Gizmor and began to speak. This sword was crafted after the elfin myth of two brothers who became gods of destruction. The older one was called Falcon, and possessed the gift of knowledge. The younger one was called Lion, and possessed the gift of might. They fought in a war between humans and elves. Using their gifts, Falcon and Lion brought mankind to its knees. But at the end of the war, there was no one left to test their skills against, so they continued their quest for knowledge and power. Eventually, Falcon gained the knowledge of the universe, and Lion cracked open the earth and sky with his fists. The brothers had become the gods of destruction, and the elves had no choice but to seal them in heroes' time. Using the lives and souls of millions, your crime is the same as the brothers, but in the name of my sword, Gizmor, I beg you, spare this man. And so the knight was spared, but I never forgot the darkness I saw in Gizmor's eyes that day. And the Iron Blade. Violence, death, ruin. 18 years ago, Orr was a general in the army of the Union and led his forces against the armies of the Empire. During one fateful battle, a catastrophe befell the world, and lightning rained down from the skies, killing Orr's men where they stood. Loss, starvation, disease. The heroes saved the world from chaos, and the war ended quietly. The wounds caused by the catastrophe were felt by mankind for many years to come. During that time, Orr traveled the world trying to bring hope to the people. Their pitiful plight broke his heart. Flags, armor, spears. Orr learned that the heroes had formed a band of knights, sealed with the fire, and were now working to save the needy. Knowing that he could not save humanity alone, Orr willingly joined the knights. With knights under his command, he dedicated his life to saving as many people as possible. Death, love, hate. Caught up in the internal politics of the heroes, Orr lost his life. Gizmor was the culprit. However, Orr did not hate Gizmor for his crime. His love for humanity would not permit such hatred, even of his murderer. And so, Orr remained true to his way of life until death. Too good for this world, man. No idea what you look like. Once upon a time, Save your blade. Once upon a time, a land faced destruction due to deceptions that corrupted people's hearts. Mourning the state of his realm, the king passed a new law sentencing to death anyone who spread false hope among his people, with lies that the country was being rebuilt. It was then that a merchant appeared before the king with a sword that only killed liars. The king rejoiced and paid a good sum of gold to purchase the sword. Eager to test his miraculous acquisition, the king swung the sword at the merchant and clove him clean in two. The king mourned once again. Evil's bronze blade. times, there was a realm ruled under magic. The realm performed a ceremony each year to restore its magical protection. There, a shrine maiden would dance with this bronze blade. The bronze blade glowed with more radiance each year. A haunting purple light emanated from it whenever the shrine maiden danced. Strangely, the maiden's beauty did not fade with years, but rather it intensified with age. The princess of the realm wondered if the bronze blade was the secret of the shrine maiden's preservation. In a fit of jealousy, she took the blade for herself and killed the maiden. And so the princess gained everlasting beauty. But without the maiden's magical protection, the land faded within a year, and the princess took her own life. The secret. Many years ago, there was a mighty gang of bandits who made their living by doing dirty deeds for the rich and powerful. Thunder Jeep. One of the founding members was a man named Left Eye. He was a valued lieutenant who specialized in intelligence gathering and other clandestine undertakings. Left Eye did not participate in battle. No one ever saw him draw his sword. It was a magic sword that brought riches to its owner. And Left Eye was indeed affluent. Being a lieutenant with unique talents, he was paid handsomely for his work and had amassed a sizable fortune over the years. One day, some of the younger bandits surrounded Left Eye. They told him they were unhappy about the size of his share compared to theirs. In truth, however, they were after more than just their fair share. They were after old Left Eye's fortune. Reading their intentions, Left Eye finally drew his sword. Gone was the reserved man they all knew. Standing in his place, a bandit as fearsome as the ruthless young men who had founded the gang years before. It was over in a second. Left Eye walked away from the youngsters' bodies and told his old friends that he was leaving. Though they begged him to stay, he disappeared into the desert. What became of his fortune? Don't know. Moonlit beauty. Once upon a time, there lived a pedigreed gentleman whose excellence with the sword had won him as many duels as his handsome face had the hearts of young ladies. One night during an evening walk, he came upon the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, standing in the moonlight beside a lake. Lost in her beauty, he stood there entranced, and time seemed to stand still. Then suddenly the woman let out a gasp and cried, "Why?" Her beautiful bosom was stained red with blood. Following her horrified gaze, the gentleman saw that his own sword was buried to the hilt in her chest. The lake reflected the gentleman's smiling face. In his ears he heard the echoes of his own voice whisper, "Now there is no one fairer than you in this world." The next day the gentleman's body was found next to the lake. He had pierced his own heart with his sword. Seal life, calamitous strings. The master blacksmith, embittered by the gods' maltreatment of the world, vowed to forge a weapon with which to destroy them. The power of the seal negates the power of the gods, and the seal derives its power from the goddess. So the blacksmith sealed the power of the goddess into his creation. The goddess lived for her love. She gave her body for the sake of her beloved. She was a fiery goddess. Sealed inside was fire, the spirit that nurtures the life of the red earth. I'll read the other seal weapons first. Seal blade, calamitous melody. Master blacksmith, embittered by the gods' maltreatment of the world, vowed to forge a weapon with which to destroy them. The power of the seal negates the power of the gods, and the seal derives its power from the goddess. So the blacksmith sealed his power of the goddess into his creation. She was a goddess whose heart concealed a forbidden love. She was a pure goddess. Sealed inside was life. Seal staff, calamitous sonnet. She was a goddess who lived for her depraved love and was fated to die for it. She was a noble goddess. Sealed inside was water, the power to make life. Seal staff, calamitous dance. The goddess was a noble knight, determined to carry out her mission. She was a gentle goddess. Sealed inside the spear was light, the power to illuminate. Seal axe, calamitous rhythm. She was a legendary goddess who held the seeds within her body and saved mankind from ruin. Sealed inside was time, the conqueror of space and all dimensions. Mage's Promise. There once was a man, strong of limb, who lived in a poor village. A caring fellow, he decided to join the army and earn a better life for his fellow villagers. Grateful for this gesture, they presented him with a silver club before his departure. Yeah, it doesn't look like a club. It looks more like that torture device that you'd place in somebody's mouth and unwind until it breaks their jaw. To the kind-hearted man, the battlefield was hell itself. Stunned by the gruesome reality of war, he ran away before even swinging his club. Dejected, he returned to the village. He returned to the village to find it burnt to the ground, his people massacred. Despairing, he cursed the heavens, cursed his weakness, and pleaded with the devil for more strength. Back on the battlefield, he swung his club with the blind fury of a wild animal. In the end, he split his own head open with it, and only the cursed club remained. King's Blood. Once there lived two generals. One possessed supreme bravery, and the other possessed supreme intellect. The two men admired each other and trained together to become better soldiers, until one day their hearts were stolen by this ancient sword, King's Blood. They fought to decide who should own it. The Battle for King's Blood led to war. The brave general fought using what he called the Iron Guard formation, a strategy dependent on sheer effort and hardship. It had served him well throughout his glittering military career. The astute general, meanwhile, used strategies never before seen on the battlefield. No one knew who would prevail. The brave general's direct approach dominated at first, but as time passed, the astute general's ever-changing strategies began to turn the battle in his favor. So the brave general's army held on with dogged determination, and managed at length to cancel out the astute general's advantage. The war had reached a stalemate. After the war, a villager visited the battlefield and said, "They were both great generals. If only their talents had not been so polarized. If only they had possessed a balance of might and intellect, we would have been spared the tragedies of war." Carrion Maker. The Iron Club was placed at the corner of the torture chamber. After prisoners had been subjected to every conceivable form of torture, it would make an appearance. With their bodies in mutilated ruins, victims longed for the Iron Club's fatal blow and an end to the pain. From toothless mouths they would wail, "The club! The club! Please show me the club!" And like a bloody angel, the Iron Club would come to answer their prayer. The weapon turned its victims into meat with a single crushing blow, and waited in silence for the next prayer. Caked in flesh and blood, it came to resemble the bodies it violated. Death Dance. Long ago, in a war-torn region where small nations constantly fought for supremacy, one country thrived under the leadership of a great hero. In time, he became an emperor, and his armies conquered the neighboring lands. Exhausted by years of war, the conquered subjects of this new emperor welcomed his rule. The emperor held a feast from time to time. It was the one luxury he allowed himself. Disregarding the advice of his council, he would even entertain guests from enemy nations. That day, he had invited a beautiful dancer to perform for him. She hailed from a country which had resisted his conquest for several years. The dancer possessed such beauty and grace, she stole the emperor's heart in an instant. At the end of her performance, he applauded her generously and ordered her to approach his throne so that he might reward her. As he reached out to hand her a priceless ring, she stabbed him through the heart with the sword she'd used in her dance. Bereft of its emperor, the empire soon crumbled, and the flames of war engulfed the region once again. War brought suffering and death to the people of every nation. The assassin's sword was lost, but its story and cruel legacy remains. Maiden's Kiss. Yeah, it's starting to see a couple more stories that are actually... Man, it feels a bit morose to be looking forward to stuff that's bleak, but that's kind of what I'm just expecting of Drakengard. The short sword lay at the corner of the altar in the shrine. During its construction, the sword was used to take the lives of sacrificial maidens whose blood was offered to earn the blessing of the gods. The number of maidens sacrificed is the number of the pillars. Each of the maidens who died against their will cursed the sword with their dying breath. Soon after the shrine's completion, the priests fell victim to disease and misfortune. One by one, their order dwindled, and the shrine was eventually abandoned in the wake of the war. Several hundred years later, the shrine still stood, resting on its forgotten altar. The cursed sword remained, casting an eerie light around the murdered maiden's tomb. Glory's Bane. Once upon a time, on a warm spring day, an evil dragon attacked a palace. He killed the royal family, the palace guard, and even the court jester, just because he felt like it. Satisfied with his work, the dragon settled down for a nap in the throne room. It was then that a little girl walked in holding a sword. She shook the dragon awake. Strong girl! She asked, "Could you please tell me where the king is, please? I have to kill him." Rather taken aback, the dragon replied, "I've already eaten him." Hearing this, the little girl bowed politely and said, "Thank you very much." Puzzled by her appreciation, the dragon asked, "Why do you thank me, little girl?" The girl replied, "The king you ate was not the true king. My dead mummy told me that he took the palace from my daddy. That's why I had to kill him, to get my palace back." The little girl wasn't lying either. She really was the rightful heir to the throne. The girl continued, "Now I'm queen. I'm going to kill all the people who let my daddy die." The dragon laughed and said, "Very well, little queen. I shall bestow my power upon you and your sword." So they exchanged their beating hearts. Then the little girl took her sword, slaughtered everyone, and lived happily ever after. Hunter's Joy. A lord with a penchant for hunting once owned this sword. With it at his side, he would ride out into the forest and not return until he had slaughtered all of the animals he could find. Wasteful. Several decades later, when the lord's grandson inherited the title, he also inherited this sword. The new lord was a gentle soul and wasn't fond of hunting, until the day he found the sword among his grandfather's possessions. From then on, his interest grew and he began to make frequent hunting trips. As the months passed, the young lord's behavior became more and more eccentric. He would lick the food off his plate, and was sometimes seen walking on all fours around the castle. Then one day, he disappeared. No one knew what had become of him, only that a beastly roaring could be heard echoing from deep within the castle dungeons. It is said that it can still be heard to this day. Beasts around the shop. You'll be one too, sooner or later. Flamberge. As the dragon faced certain death, he lamented, why had he tried to save the life of a wretched human child, only to fly straight into the trap of dragon hunters? With his consciousness fading, the dragon thought he saw a man fighting. When he woke, the man was treating his wounds. The man who saved the dragon's life aspired to become king. The dragon was not interested in such matters, but thought that it would make a fine ruler. Suddenly, an arrow pierced the man's chest. The dragon hunters had called in reinforcements. Critically injured, he groaned and fell to his knees, and then you make it back to them, right? Struggling to his feet, the man fought back bravely, but his wound was slowing him down. Just as it seemed he was about to be overwhelmed, the sound of tearing flesh filled the air. The dragon had torn out its own tongue. When the man pierced the tongue with his sword, a wall of flames spelled out, burning the dragon hunters to ash. I hate to sacrifice myself for a mere human, but I do not wish to live with your death on my conscience, said the dragon, as he closed his eyes. At that moment, a bond that transcended species was forged. With Flamberge in his hand, the man later became king. This sword's a dragon tongue, then? Scream. The young man lived to trick young girls. Gleefully, he stole their hearts and wealth. But in time, the women he'd scorned banded together and sought the help of the fairy king, who sealed the young man's spirit in a sword. Trapped inside the cold blade, he came to regret his sins. And time passed, the women grew old, and one by one they died. With each woman's death, time which had been halted returned to the man who had never known old age within the blade. As it did so, his hatred for the woman who had imprisoned him grew. When the last of the women died, the curse was finally broken, and he regained his physical form. Once the young man's body had been restored, his desire knew no bounds. He tricked one woman after another, stole hearts and wealth, until one day he met a beautiful young woman and fell in love for the very first time. He gave her all his love and wealth, but she felt nothing for him and left town with another man. The young woman committed the same crimes as the young man, and in time, the men she'd scorned tried to seal her spirit into his sword. Just as they were about to cast the sealing spell, the young man pushed his beloved out of the way and took her place inside the blade, which was turned red by his passion. There he remains. Chad turned simple. I think I'm just about done with the short swords. Hero's knife. A couple was elated by the news that they were to have a child. As this was their first, their friends held a feast the next day to celebrate. Many came to the party. Among them, a prophet dressed in a richly embroidered clerical gown. The prophet presented the couple with a short sword and said, "This blade will make a master swordsman of the wielder. Use it to protect your children." When the husband grasped its hilt, he felt its power coursing through his body, making him stronger. This was no ordinary sword. The child who will be born is a child of heaven. The child who will be born is a child of man. Should the child bring disaster upon mankind, kill it with this sword. The couple's faces paled, and the husband raised the sword to strike the prophet, but he had already disappeared. After the day of the feast, the wife, unable to forget the prophet's words, grew ever more gloomy. The husband used the power of the sword to become a soldier and returned home ever more infrequently. Eventually, their child was born, or rather, a pair of twins was born, a beautiful boy and girl. Child of heaven. Serie? Child who will be born as a child of man. Should the child bring disaster upon mankind, kill it with this sword. Mana? Noe's long sword. A gift from the previous general, Noe received this sword on the day he joined the Knights as a trainee. Since taking him in from the wild, General Orr had been Noe's human father, teaching him the ways of men. Orr was a strong and generous man whose skill with the sword was without equal. He was Noe's hero. Mocked by some as a wild beast, Noe dreamed of one day becoming as strong and generous a human being as his adoptive father. Cherishing that dream, he trained every day with the sword and lived the life of the knight. During Noe's first battle, Orr saved his life. The cruel reality of war, all noise and blood and death, was too much for the young Noe to take in. He stood transfixed, frozen with fear. Seeing this, Orr rushed to his son's side and commanded Noe to listen carefully to his words. The sword takes life, but it also saves the lives of your friends. What matters is the will of the one who holds the sword. So, would Noe use the sword to take life or save it? Neither the sword nor Orr could answer that question. pitch black. There once lived a man to whom killing was as essential to life as breathing. There was no special reason why he murdered. He was not driven by bloodlust. It was only that murder was all he knew. One day, he encountered a group of thugs who had surrounded a helpless girl. As usual, he murdered every last one of them without hesitation. When he turned to kill the girl, he found her thanking him with tears in her eyes. It was the first time that anyone would ever thanked him for what he had done. As he looked at her, he finally realized that his actions had meaning and purpose. Smiling with happiness in his heart, he brought his sword down on the young girl's head. With kindness in his eyes, he paused for a moment to watch the pool of blood expanding around her crumpled form, before leaving the scene, feeling greatly fulfilled. Gaff Carver. There once was an extremely valiant and intelligent general. Tales of his bravery spread far and wide, and the streets echoed with his name. The king felt threatened by his general's popularity. He arrested the general without reason and threw him into a dungeon deep inside the castle. The dungeon was known to drive its captives insane within 3 days. 3 years later, the king visited the dungeon. There he saw the general. Both of his legs rotted away, glaring back at him with unchanging intensity. The general stared and enraged the king, and wondering why he hadn't done so 3 years before, he drew his sword and prepared to deal the finishing blow. Just before the point of the king's sword could pierce the general's heart, he produced a sword from the pile of rags behind him and stabbed the tyrant king, killing him instantly. He had fashioned the sword from the bones of his own legs, which he had amputated for the purpose. The general went on to become a noble and just king. Never left his throne, I guess, because, you know, the legs. Bloody Fang. The swordsmith longed to create a perfect sword, a sword that would tear through a limb with one slash and impale organs with a single thrust. A sword that would make its victims suffer right up until their dying breath. In search of the cruelest of agonies, the swordsmith worked night and day. After months of toil, it was complete. A sword that would deal unending pain to its victims. All that remained was to test its abilities. So what you want is like a crossed blade and just stab that in. Doesn't heal properly. The swordsmith took the weapon to his king and told him that even the most courageous man would tell its wielder anything he wanted to know. When the king tested this claim, he found the swordsmith's words to be true. Prisoners divulged their secrets without hesitation. Elated with the sword, the king demanded to know how it was forged, but the swordsmith refused to reveal his methods, fearing his masterpiece would be copied. As a result, he got to experience his work firsthand. He shed tears of joy at the quality of his creation. Silver Butterfly. The lady was married off at a young age to a count of nearby land. She was blessed with a kind husband and servants, but her life was a bore. She confided her malcontent to her husband, who suggested that she go on a journey. There were many things she needed to learn as a countess, he said. She appreciated her husband's understanding. She heard many riveting tales from other travelers. There were stories of farmers whose lives changed with the seasons, of children surviving without their parents, of the betrayal and treachery of kings in foreign lands. After 2 eventful years on the road, the countess began the voyage home as she had promised. When she returned, the countess found her husband confused and weak. The mansion was in ruins, deserted apart from her husband and his favorite servant. Suddenly, she realized that her journey had been the servant's idea, part of the scheme to take over the estate. But surely a loving wife would notice such a plot, he smirked. The servant was arrested and executed. The count never regained his health. He died quietly, leaving the devastated countess to mourn. She had his body cremated and his ashes encased in a large sword. The butterfly engraved in the blade was based on a mask the countess had bought as a gift for her husband during her travels. Seal Blade. Calamitous Verse. The Master Blacksmith, embittered by the gods' maltreatment of the world, vowed to forge a weapon with which to destroy them. So the power of the seal negates the power of the gods, and the seal derives its power from the goddess? And this Master Blacksmith sealed the power of the goddess into some kind of weapon? A trainee blacksmith heard these rumors and decided he could make a tidy profit if he made a weapon like the one in the legends. After many months of hard work, the blacksmith finally completed the weapon, but no one knows what became of him after. Some said he had been attacked by a thief who desired the sword. Others said it was the curse of the goddess, but no one knew for sure. So, not a true seal blade? Certainly doesn't have that same ethereal blue glow. Union. In his instructions to the royal swordsmith, the king demanded that his new sword should combine the fang of a behemoth, the beak of a griffin, the talon of a dragon, and the iron of the eastern lands. Though he knew the task would be long and arduous, the faithful smith vowed to make a weapon and set out to find materials right away. Clearly, the smith needed help, but no traveling companion could be found. Nor was it any surprise that no one rose to the challenge. It was because the kingdom was weak that the king had searched the library to find a sword powerful enough to protect his subjects. This was no mere whim, the smith knew. He had to find a way. So the swordsmith traveled alone, but 2 months passed without any progress. Navigating the monster-infested wilderness was proving to be difficult. He was close to despair. It was then the hero of the time happened to pass by. After listening to the smith's tale, he agreed to lend a much-needed hand. The two fought on together. After countless adventures, the faithful smith forged the king's sword. Sadly, it did not possess as much power as the king had hoped, but he was still in need with it. Using the power of the sword, the king kept the monsters at bay and continued to rule the land. The smith was duly knighted and served as king for many happy years. Good on that night. Injustice. Generations of heroes carried this sword as the symbol of freedom. To carry this sword and to win acclaim as heroes, they had to shed much blood. With this sword in hand, the heroes invaded foreign lands in the name of freedom. Their soldiers looted the lands, and many innocent people died. The sword was later stolen by a bandit and sold to a warmongering general. Subsequently, he too invaded a neighboring kingdom in the name of freedom. His soldiers looted the lands, and many more innocent people died. After each war, the sword changed hands. To this day, one could find a hero wielding it in the name of freedom. Gaim's sword. 18 years ago, when the world faced destruction, a human and a dragon dared to fight the gods. In the end, the dragon gave her life to save the world. Left behind, the man wandered the desolate lands, his heart full of sorrow. Accompanying him on his journey was the very girl who brought mankind to the brink of extinction. Accompanying? That sounds voluntary. Betraying the alliance he formed during the war, the old hierarch altered the seal to increase the dragon's burden. When the wandering man felt the dragon's agony, the girl sensed his distress and made her escape. Alone again, his mind was consumed by thoughts of vengeance, and his hollow soul burned with bloodlust once more. Damn you, Hierarch. Vertile. Damn you, Vertile. What the hell? Kaim hunted down the treacherous Hierarch. Ignoring his pleas for mercy, killed him with a single blow. However, Kaim's efforts were in vain. The seal was permanently altered. The burden was tearing the dragon's mind apart, so the world's former savior faced a familiar choice. This time, Kaim would choose the dragon over the world. Kaim and Angelus were finally reunited when all the keys to the seal had been broken. Once more, the world faced destruction, but at least they were together. They vowed then never to part again, a vow they kept until the end. After that, only Kaim's sword remained in the world. I really liked Vertile. To know that he'd do that? What a bitch. But I guess he only had the world's interest at heart in my mind that whole time. He cared not for Angeles. Moonfire. The sword made of marble emits a fierce chill and quietly awaits its owner. The legend told that the marble sword could freeze even its owner's age. It continues to wait patiently. The marble sword continued to wait. So long it waited, long enough to freeze time. The sword had waited for so long that surely even the warmth of human blood could not awaken it now. The only thing that could be said for sure is that the frozen face of its wielder would be reflected in its blade. Takamasa. After a lengthy war, the warrior finally captured Takamasa from his enemy, a mere fugitive. The fugitive's skills were no match for his own, but as soon as their swords crossed, the warrior's blade broke in two. Risking his life, the warrior allowed the fugitive to plunge Takamasa into his shoulder. Inching agonizingly down its blade, he advanced and stabbed his enemy to death with the broken sword. Let him cut my flesh, and I shall break his bones. Takamasa responded well to the warrior's philosophy. Armed with the legendary blade, he became a renowned hero. One day, he was ordered to kill a demon with the strength of 100 men and a body like steel. Showing no sign of fear, the warrior approached the demon and challenged him to strike him. Laughing at this folly, it shattered his body with a single mighty punch. But even as it did so, Takamasa pierced its scaly throat, killing it instantly. Let him break my bones, and I shall take his life. The warrior's spirit lived on inside the sword. Skald's son. In a cold land to the north, there lived two sisters who loved each other very much. They made their living as blacksmiths and owned a little workshop in the village. One day, they were working hard as usual when a villager ran in and told them that their mother, who had been missing since they were little, had been found. The sister's mother was trapped inside a glacier on top of a mountain, as beautiful as the day she disappeared. The sisters tried to destroy the glacier, but none of their smithing tools could make any impression on the iron-hard glacial ice. When nothing else showed any sign of working, one of the sisters said, "Sister, what about one of our swords?" So they took their finest creation, Skald's Song, and swung it at the glacier. As the blade touched the ice, there was a mighty explosion, and the sisters found themselves in the loving arms of their long-lost mother. How you've both grown! Their mother had survived inside the glacier for all that time. The sisters cried tears of joy and talked to their mother for days on end. When they finally got up to leave, their mother made no attempt to stop them. They were, after all, smiths who commanded fire. Nobuyoshi. In an Easter land, a poet who made his living singing songs grew weary of his trade, when he realized he'd reached the limit of his talents. While contemplating what else he might do with his life, he saw a beautiful sword in the window of a pawn shop. Enchanted by its crimson blade, he bought the sword and took it home. That night, he slept with the sword by his side. As he began to dream, an imp appeared and demanded a trade. He said that if the poet gave up his name, the imp would give him talent in return. The poet gave his name to the imp without a second thought. In return, he received a beautiful body and an exquisite talent for song overnight. But without a name, the beautiful poet lost more and more of his humanity as the days went by. One fateful morning, he awoke to find that he turned into a nymph. Fearing to be seen in the world of men, he fled and was never seen again. He left behind the beautiful sword, now granted a name. Slaughter. What has happened to me? Every time I wield the sword, every time I see blood pour out of my victim's neck, I'm overwhelmed with unspeakable joy. Crimson blood paints the street red. It stains my pale body scarlet. Its vivid hue is burned into my eyes and won't leave my mind. Blood, 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 blood. The blood gushes out with a happy splash. When it's all gone, I'm sad, so I find new flesh and tear it up. It's best when it's warm, but I like it cold too. When it's dry, it's not so red, which isn't much fun, but it's still blood, so I still like it very, very much. Blood, 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 blood. Soldier's sword. This sword was forged by a tribe using a closely guarded secret technique. In order to maintain secrecy, a daughter of the tribe was forced to kill her lover, whom the elders suspected of spying for a neighboring tribe. She committed suicide soon after. The tribe's secrecy was maintained, but it came at a high price. Paranoia gradually spread, and the tribe began to punish and torture its own. They blackmailed each other, and soon all order was lost. The torture methods were cruel. Some died of having melted iron poured into their mouths. Others simply lost their minds from the trauma of the ordeal. When all trust was lost within the tribe, they began to murder one another, and in a matter of days they wiped themselves out. And so their secret technique remained a secret for all time, just as they had wished. Guard's sword. The man who wielded the sword used to belong to the Knights of the Seal. His rank placed him directly above the one they called Drakengard. The knight challenged the Drakengard to a duel, scheming to halt the young knight's stratospheric rise through the ranks and earned himself a reputation in the bargain. However, the Drakengard easily defeated the knight. Humiliated, he trained night and day and won promotion to platoon commander. While he was on duty with his platoon, a traitor known as the One-Eyed Man attacked them and massacred half of their number without breaking a sweat. Terrified, the knight fled from the battle, abandoning his friends to their fate. He could never return to the Order after deserting them at their time of need. Stripped of his rank and having even lost his sword, he wandered into the wilderness and was never seen again. Captured Goddess. A long, long time ago, a young girl regained consciousness in a small dark space, thick with the stench of blood. She couldn't move her arms, her legs, or even her mouth. The only thing she could do was stare into the darkness with wide-open eyes. The last light the girl had seen was the fire that burned with people as its fuel. Its awful glow had illuminated the hands crawling all over her. After that, she had felt something cold pierce her body many times. And then, blackness. That was all she could remember. What am I? Suddenly, the girl was freed from the darkness. The starry sky opened before her dazzled view, its faint light too bright. Desperately, she moved her eyes, searching to see herself. The familiar lines of her body were gone. In their place, a ruined mass of blood and quivering flesh. The girl let out a voiceless scream. As she did so, a black shadow obscured the stars. The monster with long fangs was kneeling over her, lowering its gruesome maw towards her face. In a moment of white agony, her ruined flesh contorted into a sword and lunged at the monster's head, stabbing it between the eyes. Inuart's longsword. In solitary confinement, somewhere in the desert, a man was tied to a stake. He had fought to protect the one he loved, but lacked the strength to save her, and could stand and stood on the brink of despair. He could remember her smile, her her smiles were directed at her brother. Drifting in and out of consciousness, he was about to accept his fate, when a girl appeared before him. Her eyes were a deep crimson and glistened like rubies. She smiled like the pretty little girl that she was, but spoke in a strange voice. It was the voice of neither a child nor an adult. If only I had more strength. Her crimson eyes peered into the weak man's mind. He became the girl's servant. Beyond that, he could not remember. The only thing he could remember was seeing his beloved kill herself in front of him, and standing before the scene of destruction. 18 years later, the man's longsword now belonged to a boy raised by a dragon. The sword was used to fight his lover's brother, the one-eyed man. Standing beside the boy was the girl with crimson eyes, now a grown woman. Their tale of life, death, and entangled relations was told for generations. Oh, finally done with Noah's weapons. Rust should go a fair bit faster. Final staff. 18 years ago, the girl stood alone in a dark forest, abandoned by her mother. Her longing to be loved soon turned into madness. The gods, charmed by her insanity, chose her as a tool to rule the world. Her eyes began to glow red in the darkness. The girl with crimson eyes sent the world spiraling into chaos. The sight of the world collapsing soothed her. Order was restored by a silent man with a sword. He took her on a journey to atone for her sins. Though she tried to look away, he forced her to face the suffering she had caused. One day the man looked up to the sky, and hatred filled his eyes. The girl wondered what had happened to make her captor so angry. Spying her opportunity, she stabbed him with a knife she had hidden in a robe, and threw herself into the nearby gorge. Several years later, the girl had lost all memory of her crimes, and lived in a poor village. She learned about the Knights of the Seal, who oppressed the villagers. In a strange twist of fate, the girl who brought chaos to the world, took up this staff, and began to destroy the seals once again. Knights of the Seal's Curse Staff. Back when General Auror still lived, there was a magician who was assigned to protect the district of Soulflame. He possessed the ability to control fire. The magician was a good friend and a confidant to General Auror. He used his power to cleanse the land of Soulflame. After Auror was killed by an enemy, the magician left the Knights. He did not take kindly to the new general's methods. Acutely aware of the plight of his former wards, he returned to the district to ease the suffering of the oppressed. The magician sold everything in his possession to feed the hungry. He even sold weapons which were crucial to his use of magic. When all of his wealth and power had been exhausted, he starved to death. Monk's Red Staff. Once a high-ranking priest traveled to the western land with 3 companions. He was to receive a sacred book. On the way there, he performed acts of charity in the villages he passed through, and his companions cleansed the land of monsters who threatened the people. Slaying monsters was the specialty of one of the priest's traveling companions. It was he who wielded the staff. In his skillful hands, it protected the priest and ensured their safe passage to the western land. When the party arrived at their destination, the sacred book was placed in the priest's care as promised. With their quest at an end, the priest thanked his companions and honored each of them with a fitting name. I guess I do actually know that. Phoenix Curse. Back when magic flourished, magicians played an integral role on the battlefield. The potency of their magic was derived in large part from the power of their staffs. Indeed, wars were fought over the ownership of powerful staves, especially the staves of the ancient magicians, which contained mighty spells long forgotten. At around that time, a magician found the staff buried in some ancient ruins. Though he was not especially gifted, using the staff's power, he was capable of unimaginable feats and soared up through the ranks of his army. Within a year, he sat at the general's right hand. The magician's powers knew no bounds on the battlefield, and he became very influential. Then, one day, an identical staff was found in the same ancient ruins, with hundreds more like it. In a matter of months, every kingdom had acquired one, and the war raged on with renewed ferocity. The magician who wielded the original staff had relied upon its power and neglected to train. The other magicians were different. With their finely honed skills and the power of the staff combined, easily defeated their lazy counterpart. By the year's end, he had been demoted to the rank of a mere soldier. Obscurity beckoned. Yeah, Flare Claw certainly hits hard on that Phoenix curse. Northern Siren. To a tiny pub in a northern port, a pretty young girl visited. Beautiful skin, alluring voice, all the men fell in love. She only carried her with her a staff. She said she would sing. Men gathered to see the girl, squeezed into the little pub. The girl sang songs of the ocean. Men listened to her voice. They all tried to win her heart. But she would say, "No, not you." 1 month later, a traveler visited the pub where the girl now worked. Innocent eyes, handsome face, his smile was so charming. She knew what she had to do. She told him that he was the one. Next day, the girl left with the boy, leaving only her staff and a letter. The staff was a token of thanks. The letter said, "I'm an ocean spirit, and it was time I went home." Men sang, "You could have said." Shit, if I knew you were the ocean, I wouldn't have pursued you so hard. Yaha staff. The bureaucrat was accused of treachery and executed his distrustful king. His family followed his fate. The executioner took pity upon his youngest son. He let the boy go and told the king that the job was done. The bureaucrat's son grew up to be a beautiful young man. He made his living as a thief, stealing goods from the bazaar. Sometimes he would be caught and beaten, but the pain was nothing to him compared to the joy revenge would bring. In time, he used the money he'd saved to bribe his way into a job at the king's castle. The boy's androgynous beauty caught the king's eye right away. Soon enough, he became one of the king's special companions. Late one night, he decided that the time had finally come to exact vengeance. So he headed to the king's bedchamber armed with his father's staff. An elegant weapon tipped with a deadly blade. However, the king became suspicious when he saw beads of sweat on the boy's brow and called for his guards. As they converged on him, the boy cut his own throat to the tune of the king's victorious laughter. Perhaps it was fate that Lieutenant Yaha, whose own beauty had shaped his twisted destiny, would eventually own the staff. Dream Blossom. In a far eastern land, there lived a king who made a pact with the spirit to acquire the strength needed to protect his kingdom. He would be absent for months, defending the borders of his realm against demonic incursions. He spent so little time in his capital, in fact, that many of his subjects did not even know his face. One such subject was a renowned female warrior, whose heroic exploits were famous throughout the kingdom. During the season of spring blossoms, she demonstrated her skill with a staff before the king. They each had heard stories about the other before that day. They had never actually met. It was love at first sight. In the space of a moment, the two heroes were under each other's spell. The warrior exchanged the ring that adorned her staff, a priceless heirloom that had been in her family for generations, for the king's ornate blade, and they vowed to fight side by side to protect the kingdom. Despite their heroic efforts, demons gained ground in the years that followed. Towns and villages were destroyed, and eventually the capital fell. The lovers fought on until the very end. But when the dust of the final battle settled, all that remained was a staff bearing the words, "If we should part, we'll meet again beneath the blossom." Wisdom. During his journey south, the priest stopped off at a poor, nameless village far from civilization. Though he was famous for his wisdom, he could see for 1,000 miles. He was just another traveler to the people of the remote settlement. But nonetheless, the villagers gave the traveling priest a very warm welcome. Moved by their heartfelt hospitality, he presented them with a staff as a token of his appreciation. The staff held miraculous powers. As the priest watched the villagers' face light up at the gift, he prayed that their lives would be filled with happiness. However, the villagers gave the staff to a traveler with a bad back. When the priest heard word of this, he realized that the villagers' lives were already as happy as they could be. Their contentment was a greater gift than even the staff. Oh, that's a pretty nice walking stick you got there. The stone set in the staff possesses the soul of a gifted young magician. An ordinary human life did not interest this boy. In search of a higher spiritual place, he summoned all of his strength and turned himself into a stone, wishing to live in this world forever. Reject humanity, become stone. One day he learned that his owner was a beautiful stateswoman. He loved her so, but as time passed, she grew old and died. Even the streets and houses and trees that he loved inevitably grew old too and turned to dust. Sorrow consumed him. As a stone, the young magician could watch people's happiness as well as their misfortune. But as a stone, he could not share in their joy or lend them a helping hand. All he could do was mourn alone. Will the boy ever be released from the burden of his rashly garnered immortality? Will time heal the wounds of an immortal to whom time is a stranger? Or will you, perhaps, lead him into the light? Sorry, man, you're weak as shit. Audacious. This staff was created with the skin and bones of a gaunt magician. The magician was a famous man with many disciples. When he grew old, he asked his disciples to select one of their number to be his successor. One of the magician's disciples was a talented young man with eyes as sharp as an eagle. The old magician named him successor and taught him everything he knew. The young man mastered every known spell within half a year. Thrilled by his progress, the old magician asked him to help train the other disciples. During training, the young man began to invent new spells. Soon, the other disciples began to train directly under him, rather than their former master. The old magician knew that his time had passed, and asked his protege to take his place. But the young man refused. He said he wanted to travel the world and seek out new magic. Stunned by the young man's refusal, the magician's emotions, pent up until now, exploded. Jealousy, hatred, love. He unleashed every spell he knew. The young man calmly reflected each of his curses back at him. Caught in the maelstrom of his own magic, the old man's flesh melted, leaving nothing but skin and bones. Philosopher's Staff. The magician had no friends. It was not that he disliked people, quite the contrary. Nor was he a bad person to be around, though he could be a little pedantic. But anyone who met him seemed to hurry away as soon as they could. The poor man was at a loss to understand why. One day the magician was struck by a mysterious illness. Fever high, heart pounding, limbs shaking, he could hardly walk. He tried casting spells, but when it didn't help, he took up his favorite staff and headed for the medicine man. After a trying journey, he explained his condition to the medicine man. The various symptoms afflicting my corporeal form are quite beyond the treatment of a layman unversed in the science of diagnosis, even one so familiar with the arcane. Before he could finish, the medicine man muttered something about being busy and fled. Having failed to obtain any medicine, the magician's condition worsened until he died. If only he'd realized that knowledge was not for flaunting, but for sharing in words that everyone could understand. If only he'd been aware of this simple truth, perhaps he wouldn't have died of food poisoning. Nerd. There is a spear. Once there was a man called the Iron Dragon of the Two Swords, famed for his dignity and countless acts of heroism. The owner of this spear was the female knight who trained him. Whether because of its uncommon quality or because it was a gift from the Iron Dragon, she was always left for battle with the spear in her hands. During the mission, she faced a terrible choice. In order to retreat, she stood between countless enemy troops and a defenseless village. Ignoring her orders, she stayed and fought to the death. The enemy paraded her violated remains, then burned the village to ash, while her former allies sullied her name with a charge of insubordination. When the Iron Dragon found out what had happened, he charged into enemy territory and retrieved his beloved mentor's remains and her spear. Cradling her broken body in his arms, he swore to win back her good name, to become as noble a knight as she had been, and to raise knights who would give their lives to protect the people. Eris inherited the spear, a memento of these two noble heroes. One can only wonder about what she thinks, whom she fights, but the fallen knights can rest in peace knowing that their magnanimity. God, that's a hard word. Magnanimity of spirit lives on. Falcon's Pinion. I awoke on a rainy day and looked up to see my brother still in the nest from whence I'd fallen. It was a small nest, and I guessed that it would only be a matter of time before something like this happened. I was 2 months old. Well, that's life, I thought, just as my parents flew back. They looked down at me, then began to feed my brothers. I tried chirping, but they ignored me. That's it for me, I suppose, I thought, when a lightning bolt struck the tree, setting it alight. I flapped my wings in a desperate attempt to get away. Once I'd scrambled a safe distance, I turned to see the nest in flames, my brother's burning bodies illuminating the forest. You can never tell what's going to happen in life. Cowering there in the wet grass, a human who'd come to investigate the fire saw me and scooped me up. 1 year later, I was an adult falcon and sat on his arm. He was a middle-aged, poor, and drank a lot. That was all I knew about my savior. After 2 years together, we parted ways when my companion sold me to buy alcohol. The human who bought me butchered, cooked, and served me to another human whose belly I paused en route to the privy. My feathers were used to decorate a spear, which was sold to a fool at an exorbitant price. What a ridiculous waste of money and life. Is Falcon good eating? I don't know, isn't there something about like don't want to eat you only want to eat prey animals? Predator animals have like a bad taste and parasites? Or not parasites, but diseases? Anja's spear. The chaser in the fortress city to the west was a master of his craft. The nobles had him decorate their armor. However, he wouldn't let anyone into his shop and went out in the night without telling a soul where he was going. In time, his wife grew suspicious and tried to follow him, but she lost him in a cemetery near the outskirts of the city. One night, the chaser's wife decided to wait for her husband in the cemetery. Sure enough, the chaser arrived soon afterwards and began to dig up a freshly buried coffin. Horrified, his wife ran away without saying a word. When she'd collected her thoughts, she decided that it was high time she had a look inside her husband's shop. What she saw there were corpses dressed in armor and matching accessories, and her husband dancing naked among them. The chaser had brought back dead bodies and clothed them as richly decorated creations. Maddened by disgust and despair, she lunged at her husband, impaling herself and him on a spear held by one of the grotesque mannequins. Several days later, the couple was discovered, skewered together and surrounded by corpses. The offending spear, notable for its exquisite chasing, eventually found its way into the hands of Hanj. Robber King. At the end of a long battle, the rebel leader finally pierced the tyrannical king's heart with a spear. As he drew his last breath, the army of the revolution poured into the castle. Now the land would be free of corruption, and peace would return. The victorious rebels smiled at that thought, but his smile was short-lived. The last battle perplexed him. The king offered no resistance. It almost seemed as if he gave his life willingly. Would a corrupt king do that? While he pondered over this, his allies called for him to come to the dead king's chamber. There he found the princess, bound and gagged. His allies quickly explained that they had found her like this. Feeling rather bemused, he removed her gag and heard the truth. She had been taken hostage by a spy from a nearby land, and used as leverage to force her father to sabotage his own kingdom. He was no tyrant, she cried. Moving as if to free her from her bonds, the rebel drew his knife and slit the princess's throat. Whether or not her father had been a tyrant did not matter now. All that mattered was that the angry masses had risen up to remove the corrupt king. The truth was buried with the princess's body, and her murderer was crowned that day. Victor spoils. Once there lived two princes. One studied the martial art of bravery, and the other studied the martial art of adaptability. The two trained constantly to refine each other's skills. The brothers asked their master, which school is more effective? The master handed a spear to the brothers. Smiling, he explained, a good spear has a hard, sharp blade, and a shaft as flexible as a willow. What matters is that the two schools fight together, not against each other. The master eventually died of old age. The princes buried him with the spear that had taught them so much, vowing that they would work together for the rest of their lives. Their kingdom flourished. Lost its misery. The young man was popular with everyone in the village. He had the ability to control the wind, and was often seen flying over rivers and valleys. He was a cheerful boy, though he always seemed to be troubled by something. Several years later, his father passed away. Before he died, he told his son about the young man's mother, whom his son had learned never to mention in his presence. Go to the place marked on the map, said his father. As if guided by his spirit, the young man took up his scythe and left, carried by the wind. How long had he been traveling? Over forests, oceans, and mountain ranges he flew. Exhausted and frail, he came at last to the village. The chief of the village welcomed the young man and told him that the scythe he was carrying had once belonged to the village. Just then, a beautiful woman entered the room. The young man knew at once that she was his mother. From that day forth, he helped to keep the peace between humans and wind spirits. The scythe was never used again. Until now. Sorrowborn. There was a small pond near a small village. This pond was said to have been created by the tears of young lovers torn apart. One such lover, a boy left behind in the village when his lover's family moved away, longed to see the one he sighed for just once more. One day, a spirit of the pond appeared before the boy and made a wager. If the boy could bring back some spiderwort that only grows in the far northwest mountains, he would bring the girl back. The boy left the village in search of the spiderwort and found a village in the northern lands. There, he also found his lost lover. Reunited, the two lovers shed tears of joy. Sitting together in the small village next to the small river, they talked until the sun set and made a solemn vow to marry each other. As night fell, the boy smiled contentedly, his dreams fulfilled. But it was only an illusion created by the treacherous fog of the forest. The boy died alone in the darkness. The spirit of the pond mourned for the boy's unrequited love. It sealed the lovers' tears into this spear, praying for their happiness in the afterlife. Ozymandias moot. This holy spear would demand to know if its owner was worthy of becoming a ruler. It had been passed down by generations of soldiers who desired to rule. Long ago, one such soldier who sought to rule above all held this spear. The spear asked of its owner, when should a ruler use force? The soldier could not answer. He managed to conquer and rule a small kingdom with the power of the spear, but it was too weak to propel the invading army of a neighboring kingdom and fell within a decade. As the soldier's kingdom collapsed, one of his generals escaped with the spear. The invading army hot at his heels. They caught up with him soon enough, but just as they surrounded him, the spear asked the general the same question. He answered, "There is 7 circumstances. The first, before he could finish, the spear enveloped his body in lightning and slaughtered all of his assailants. Using the power of the spear, the general went on to become the emperor of the Grand Empire, and flourished for over 1,000 years. Warning. This spear belonged to a gentle and mild-mannered man. He lived in shame for a certain antisocial tendency, so he avoided the company of strangers and lived deep inside the forest with his brothers. He led a quiet life until one day the Empire attacked his land, slaughtered his brothers, and torched his house. In despair, he tried to commit suicide, but just as he was about to die, a malicious fairy came to him and forced him into a pact, saving his life. Leonard? As the price of his pact, he lost his sight. With his newfound power, he rose up against the Imperial forces and fought to save the world from the tyranny of the Empire. Alongside the voiceless savior, he prevented the end of the world. Though he was now a hero, his shameful tendencies remained, so he returned to his life of solitude, a vilified exile. Axe. The king who made offerings to the Reaper, hoping to live forever, commissioned this axe to act as an instrument of the gods. Its purpose, to sever the necks of beautiful young men and drink their blood in the Reaper's honor. It has tasted the blood of many hundreds, and the Reaper has prospered from his tributes. For the first ceremony, the king chose 2 men and ordered one to execute the other. Every subsequent month, he would then choose a new executioner to sacrifice the last. And so it continued, year after year, executioner becoming sacrifice, until the month of the king's 150th birthday. The pair involved in the ceremony this month were best friends. When one had sacrificed the other, he turned to the king, crying, and said, "I give my own life to the Reaper. I shall walk the road to Hades with my friend." And he cut off his own head, and the axe pierced the altar so deeply that none could remove it. The king's long life was at an end. The axe finally found its way into the hands of Europe, where it once more provides sacrifices to the Reaper. A cycle of blood which curses it cannot be halted, a secret known only by the Reaper himself. Shanpo's axe. In a small village, a man lived with his pet mouse in a shack. He was a kindly soul, but the other villagers mistrusted him because his face had been disfigured since birth. In spite of their prejudice, he harbored no bitterness towards them, smiling even when children threw stones at him. Secretly, the villagers schemed to drive their unsightly neighbor away, so they claimed that his mouse had damaged their crops and captured it one day. While they wandered the forest searching for his little companion, they cut off its head and laid its body on his doorstep. When the poor man returned to his shack, he saw that his only friend in the world had been murdered. With a howl of despairing rage, he took his axe and decapitated each of the villagers in turn, piling their heads in the center of the common. To add another to the pile, he then cut off his own, and the axe tumbled from his lifeless grasp. When it was finally retrieved from its grisly resting place, the axe's blade had been dyed red by the villagers' blood. Lieutenant Jean-Po, whose pact cost him the pleasure of eating, may have tried to replace his lost sensation with the joy of butchering foes with this axe. Broken Irons, the big old sword. What was once hailed as the largest blade in the world, striking fear into the hearts of men, now bore no trace of its former glory. Only a shattered heap of iron remained. Back when this heap was still a sword, its owner had tried to fuse it with an unimaginable variety of objects. His mania for modifying the weapon had seen its titanic form incorporate armor, other swords, and even the bones of the dead. Mighty though it already was, he was obsessed by the idea that it could be made yet stronger. Just guy really wanted to play Tears of the Kingdom. The blade slowly began to change color, turning crimson towards its edge. This gradation seemed to symbolize its place on the boundary between this world and the next. Certainly it had been the difference between life and death to many a friend and foe in the past, but when its owner tried to fuse it with a baby, its blade finally shattered. Discarded as a failed experiment, the sword longed for the days when it terrified men with its fearsome form, so it searched for an owner who could forge its blade afresh. You tried to merge it with a baby? Why did you think that was going to do anything? He was memeing. He was obviously memeing. Crimson Hope. Not enough. I haven't had enough. The magician awoke at the start. The axe. Had it spoken to him? Or had he been dreaming? Since that night, the magician's face, recognized throughout the kingdom, slowly seemed to change. After several months, he began to resemble an infamous thief who had terrorized the land decades before. The thief's soul had resided within the axe for years, waiting for the perfect moment to seize a new body. Though the magician tried to resist, the thief eventually conquered his mind and stole his life. The nobles of the kingdom did not think to question what he did then. How could they have known that he was no longer his true self? And so they all met a disastrous end, while the magician lived on. I'm still confused about this one. A magician comes into possession of an axe. Why? What are you going to use that axe for? An axe is originally owned by a thief. Again, why? Not a very stealthy weapon to be thieving or burglaring or holding people up with. Executioner's Son. The axe thought to itself, how many heads have I cut off? Over the years it had executed criminals, traitors, revolutionaries, politicians, even the innocent, but it could not remember any of their faces, save for one, a peculiar boy. This boy showed no fear as he placed his head on the block. Even the bravest men harbored desperate hope at the moment of their death. The axe could feel the rush of their emotions, even as it took their life. Not this boy. He was different. His spirit was filled to the brim with hope. It wasn't the false hope of a devout believer, rather the knowledge that he was there by choice. His spirit was so pure that it made the axe want to scream. The boy's execution was carried out. Among the crowd that gathered to witness the event, a group of young men shed tears. The axe did not understand what it meant. All it knew was that the young men would speak of the boy's high hopes for the world's future for generations to come. Foul lady. A twisted magician sealed a fire lizard into his axe. It would whisper words of hatred for others and drive its owner to madness. A thief who stole this axe soon extended his territory to beyond the neighboring mountains and became the chief of a large group of bandits. A page who acquired this axe became an infamous soldier and was made lieutenant in an order of knights. In the end, however, the axe drove both the thief and the page to kill indiscriminately, and they were murdered by their own men. I am so hungry. The hobgoblin decided to help his boss as he always did. Usually, he had to get food by helping out with various odd jobs, but today he would get a meal without having to do anything at all. An attack on a human village was planned for the following evening, and a hearty meal was provided in preparation. So they charged into battle, expecting a swift victory, but the humans repelled their attack with great determination, and the fight raged on. In the midst of the carnage, the hobgoblin fell into a shallow well. There he found a magnificent scythe. It was the failed creation of a demented magician. The scythe was designed to increase its wielder's desire to win. In reality, however, it brought out other uncontrollable desires in its wielder. Deemed useless, it had been thrown into the well. The hobgoblin climbed out of the well with the scythe in his hand. Hungry for food and blood, he began to kill humans left and right. But the scythe's power soon began to overwhelm the hobgoblin. When all of the humans were dead, he began to bite and maim the other goblins, even murdering and eating the entire party of his own tribe failed to satiate his appetite, and finally he slit his own throat with the scythe. He was later found by a beautiful elf. That's all the weapons.
Weird that, like, a lot of the swords and the seal weapons mention smiths creating them. A couple of the staves also mention, like, magicians empowering or becoming part of their weapons. A lot more magicians wielding and enchanting axes than I would have expected. Okay. There's the history of all weapons. I can get on to actual playing. Okay, weapons look fine. Items look fine. Oh. And I'm pretty sure I just have the damage reduction accessory on, although 15% isn't quite cutting it. There have been a lot of attacks that one-shot me on the way up to Chapter 12. Let's see how this goes.
We're almost there.
What's in the Promised Land? What would Hierarch Sere be doing there?
He'll perform the sealing ceremony and restore order to the world.
Hierarch Sere found a goddess. I didn't think he could manage anything on his own. I'm impressed.
Yes. The Red Dragon
Maybe a
replaced
boy,
the
but he's been
last
around
goddess.
for
Now that the dragon is dead,
over 20
a new
years,
goddess
man,
has been
and
born.
quite the
Or
accomplished
so I hear.
Then let's hurry.
sorcerer.
Maybe now the world can be saved. Are we near the Promised Land?
Didn't shoot fast enough.
What am I doing?
The Promised Land. I wonder what's about to happen there.
these things. I didn't think I was that close to death.
Are we near the Promised Land?
About those lightning strikes.
The Promised Land. I wonder what's about to happen there.
Just attacking the guy fast is the best thing I can do. Ah! Still hit me? Bastard. Will you block that, son of a bitch?
The air, and it ruined.
I suppose that's one way of surviving. We've been through a lot. Fighting Gizmor, Angelus.
Ah, God. Ugh. Foreign enemies hang from the skies of the Promised Land. Burn them a dash. Okay, I remember this mission now.
Ooh, God. No, I missed it.
I was always confused, but not anymore. It's time to end this.
Okay. I was on a mission where flying really high above them or below them was enough to dodge all that stuff. I guess this isn't that. Got you, Maddie. Particularly feel a threat of dying in here, but man, this thing. Why did I open my big stupid mouth? Okay, so I wasn't sure. Those things occasionally shot out that death rune thing that apparently does enough damage to just like kill me from
Are we near the promised land?
most percentages. Great start. As for the best.
Are we near the Promised Land?
My God. Stop!
The Promised Land. I wonder what's about to happen there.
Entered the air, and it ruined them.
I suppose that's one way of surviving. We've been through a lot. Fighting Gizmor, Angelus.
No. No death runes. Oh, that one didn't.
confused. But not anymore. It's time to end this. Go to the Promised Land. I'm worried about the hierarchy.
Oh, is that it? Yay! One mission. Count 'em. One. Everything after the chapter 8 is pretty quick, so can't recall how many verses there are, but it's not many.
Is this the Promised Land?
Indeed. This land, this is our final destination. Your time has come, No Way.
Legna?
I've had enough of your games. An important relic awaits us. Come with me. That shall be our next destination.
What is this relic?
The bone casket, created by the Nameless.
Wait! We must perform the ceremony right away!
Silence! Your fate has no relevance to me. Repeat your foolish history if you like. But No Way is no human. He is a new breed. Come with me.
Legna.
You heard the Book of Seeds.
So we've rejected
the ancient
Legna.
tomb. You are an artifact. A product of our plan.
Mana or
no other choice.
No.
Eris got pushed into it
future.
the second time. Are we just actually going to go into the
I'll follow
seed
you.
this time?
Wherever you go.
Kill the gods. That is what the Book of Seeds has destined for you. This is your mission. It's the only way to save this world.
Kill the gods? Is such a thing even possible? Will that save the world?
Foolish child. I've already told you. That is why you're a new breed. Think about it. Without gods, there would be no need for humans to carry the burden of the seal.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Be unnecessary.
Except the gods, but you know, who
Yes,
cares
my
about
child.
that?
You need not throw away your happiness as a woman to become a goddess.
What did you say? Eris, no. Tell me this isn't true.
I didn't want anyone to know. Especially you, Noe. The goddess cannot live the life of an ordinary woman.
Do you understand now? Kill the gods.
I see. It's worth trying. Yes, we must do it. Then Eris would be saved from carrying the burden of the goddess seal.
Okay, this is going the same. Am I going to be rejected by the seed again?
The bone casket looks like one of the seeds of resurrection from 18 years ago.
Well observed, my child. They're both playthings of the gods.
What are you trying to make him do?
Do you not understand? He must go inside. The casket can help creatures to evolve. With its power, the boy can evolve into a new breed.
See nothing good come out of
If I
these things.
become a new breed, could I save the world?
Indeed, once your evolution is complete. Using a plaything left behind by the gods to create a soldier who would destroy them. Even they could not predict such a plan.
This goes against the natural order.
What order is left in this world? Do not delude yourself.
Noe! Don't go inside that thing. You don't know what's in there. I'm ready to become the final seal. Please don't do this.
No. I have to do this. This is my fate. This is why I was born. I must fulfill my destiny.
There's no need for concern.
Our plans are absolute.
No, rejected again.
Noe, are you all right?
The bone casket rejects you.
Gotta fight Ozma again.
Wake up, stupid thing.
Is it alive?
It is sentient. I sense that the plaything of the gods sees us as its enemy. Do not fear, no way. We are here to execute what has been recorded as reality. Go now.
Oh, yeah, right. All the healing items I used.
I'm about to rebel against the gods.
They are false gods. When the holy dragons return to the throne, the gods will become the nameless again.
So even after we destroy this thing, the gods will still exist?
Yes. But unless we destroy it, we will not be able to reach the gods who lie beyond.
So how much of themselves did the gods put into this plaything?
Who knows? They're driven by whim. Creating humans on a whim. Destroying the world on a whim. We'll see if this will get their attention.
Ignis fire has no effect on the bone casket. Get on top of it and attack race.
This will be our final battle. Let's go, no way.
I don't care if it means facing the gods. I'm determined to fight until the very end.
So it's red to the north, and purple, blue, yellow, white, clockwork pattern.
I hit it!
It seems to be disabled. The bone casket is pulsating with strange energy.
Something's coming this way. Let's retreat.
Bone casket emitted a red light wave. The pillar seems to be absorbing the pulse.
Hide behind the pillar. Fine. The spirit that nurtures life. Is this pillar absorbing the
missed
power
my
of the bone
opportunity.
casket?
Purple now? No, blue.
Water. The power to make life. This is the power of the seal.
Yeah, they gotta be faster than that. So if I do a double dash, I'm gonna fly over the thing, I guess.
This will be our final battle. Let's go, no way.
I don't care if it means facing it. I hit it! Something's coming this way. Let's retreat. Hide behind the pillar. Fire, the spirit that nurtures life. Is this pillar absorbing the power of the bone casket? Water, the power to make life. This is the power of the seal.
What will you do now, Wolf God? Your plaything is screaming in terror.
Light, the power to illuminate.
Too high up. Purple. Oh wait, no, this is white. Mounting and dismounting is so slow.
This will be our final battle. Let's go, no way.
I don't care if it... I hit it! Something's coming this way. Let's retreat. Hide behind the pillar. Fire, the spirit that nurtures life. Is this pillar absorbing the power of the bone casket? Water, the power to make life. This is the power of the seal.
What will you do now, Wolf God? Your plaything is screaming in terror.
Light, the power to illuminate. Even if I have to fight the gods, I'll fight for what I believe.
And I got one more.
Light, the source of all spirits.
Unless I fuck up my approach.
Time, the conqueror of space and all dimensions. Now for the final blow!
Alright, that mission's still the same.
Did we do it?
I do not know. It feels like we did.
It's falling!
Looking for a host.
What? It's moving! Is it after us?
Oh, I knew it was you. Your womb is so warm. I remember you well, but I'll never become one with you again.
Mana! Legna, ram it! Run, Mana! 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 Where is she?
I'm right here. I'm still myself. I'm no longer a puppet.
Does this dash all your plans then, Legna?
Mana, I'm so glad. Eris, you're safe too.
She's gonna... little stumble there, she's fine.
I won't thank you. I could have saved myself without your help.
The Book of Seeds tells of more. We must keep moving.
But should we really be following the word of the book? The world is in chaos, Legna. Shouldn't we be trying to help the survivors?
You're wasting your time. Humans are a failed experiment. They're weak. Never mind their fate.
You raised me, a mere human. It was you who raised a helpless infant to a full-grown man.
Yeah, you're half
Don't
dragon or something.
misunderstand. It was simply because you were the new breed, the weapon of the Holy Dragons.
Your weapon? Is that all I am to you? Then we must part ways, Legna. I can't go with you. It doesn't matter what the book says. I'll choose my own future as a human.
The Book of Seeds is no prophecy. It is
We
a
doing
record
both?
of the future. It is fact. Rise, my brothers. Now is the time to fulfill our destiny.
Out come the dragons. And out comes Sierra's golems. Yeah, that kid's gotten a lot stronger over the last two decades. All those white wings piercing the sky looks a lot like that vision from 18 years ago. Holy dragons gather around Legna. Mysterious group of stone giants follow. Blah 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 blah. They looked a lot bigger, but I guess the
You're just in time.
dragons are just smaller than I
My
would
lord,
expect.
we've been expecting you. The world is in chaos.
I see that. The myth is about to become reality.
You know about this. Would you enlighten us? What are the dragons trying to do?
I only know the version of the myth recorded by humans. The dragons carry the memory of the history in their blood. It drives them to kill the gods and rule the world.
I heard about this at the ancient tomb. The dragons want to become gods again. That must be their motive. There's no other explanation.
The dragons wish to become gods? Is such a thing possible? What would happen to the world if they succeeded?
The dragons would create a world more terrible than anything we have yet seen. I doubt that humans could rely on seals in such a world.
Now I see. Legna deceived Noe from the very beginning. He never wanted to save the human world.
He only thought about his own race. Damn it!
Young fool! If you choose to side with the humans, then we are enemies!
Fighting you again, are we? Alright, come get some. Legna is attacking you. He'll kill you if you don't kill him first. Don't hesitate. Kill Legna.
How did it come to this, Legna? Why do I have to fight you?
Oh, yeah, not even your health is gonna get through that. Alright. Can I dodge?
How did it come to this, Legna? Why do I have to fight you?
You think you're a match for me? You delude yourself. You are no more than...
And dodging doesn't do it either. Kind of feels like there's nothing I can do about that.
How did it come to this, Legna? Why do I... How did it come to this, Legna? Why do I have to fight you?
Ugh. It's like I kind of just have to pray that he hits me with the charged attack and not the fireball.
How did it come to this, Legna? Why do I have to fight you?
That is rough. I need a bow.
How did it come to this, Legna? Why do I have to fight you?
You think you're a match for me? You delude yourself. You are no more than...
Okay, just had to get in there.
I should have known that sentiment would cloud your judgment. You are pathetically weak. How will you fight the blaze raining down from the heavens?
With golems.
Noe.
I hated for so long being called a savior. Now it burns me to be called a regular human being. Isn't that ironic? I wish I could be a savior. I want to save you.
Was he awakening to being a new breed, or did mana transfer the power of the seed to him? Where are these angel wings coming from?
I think I remember this fight.
Crimson lights.
I feel power filling my body. What's happening to me?
It's the awakening of the new breed. Do you need me to tell
A
you?
new form for him too, right?
New breed? So I finally... Huh? Legna! What's happened to you?
This is my true form and the will of the holy dragons. But look at yourself, no way. You too.
I am forever doomed to clutch this piece of stone, so I guess I'll be flying for the rest of my life.
In the eyes of a loving couple who bore the burden of a tragic fate 18 years ago.
I can see myself in your eyes. A young boy who believed he was a dragon and that he could fly.
You were a tiny child. You didn't even know how to wear clothes.
I slept on your back and peeled your scales to keep as good luck charms. Did the book tell you all those things? Did it tell you how much I would grow attached to you?
Fool, I was merely following the memory that flows in my blood.
Legna, you might be a holy dragon, but you're also my father, and I am your son.
I'll ask you one last time, no way. Will you not come with me?
Legna. I wanted to stay with you, Legna. As long as you remained my father, I wanted to stay. But this is goodbye.
Noe is no longer a son to Legna. Harness the power of the new breed and rebel against the book. Kill Legna.
Do I have to? I have to. I have to fight Legna.
A child who defies his father's wishes.
I'll have to risk it. An attack from the front. I never knew how strong he was. I never imagined fighting him. Legna, is this my only choice? Do I really have to fight you? When I was little, your wings were my home.
Ow.
I don't want our time together to end like this. Why does it have to be this way? Why, Legna? Why? You really raised me only to use me in the end. how you want things to end. You're leaving it up to me.
I'm coming for you!
Legna! Do I really have to kill you?
Love, you think you can defeat me?
Oh no! Is he steadying himself to breathe fire at me?
If you wish to go your own way, you must depart me first.
What is wrong with this place? This is too dangerous. Your power energizes me. I can't surpass you, Legna. Is there no hope?
Ah, big fireball. I think that one just killed me from full. Oh, I guess not full. I did take some damage.
Do I have to? I have to. I have to fight Legna.
A child who defies his father's wishes cannot hope to surpass him.
I'll have to risk it. An attack from the front. I never knew how strong he was. I never imagined fighting him.
Couldn't really see that fireball that killed me.
Do I have to? I have to. I have to fight Legna.
A child who defies his father's wishes cannot hope to surpass him.
To risk it, an attack from the front. I never knew how strong he was. I never imagined fighting him. Legna, is this my only choice? Do I really have to fight you?
Gah. Keep trying to get just like enough magic to do one cast before I have to use a item.
Do I have to? I have to. I have to fight Legna.
Child who defies his father's wishes cannot hope to survive.
I'll have to risk it. An attack from the front. Legna, is this my only choice? Do I really have to fight you?
I thought you were more obedient. Why do you defy me?
When I was little, your wings were my home. I never knew how strong he was. I never imagined fighting him. I can't
Try to turn around long enough just to get a look at the fireballs so I can dodge them, and they're already on my ass.
Do I have to? I have to. I have to fight Legna.
Child who defies his father's wishes cannot hope.
Is this my only choice? Do I really have to fight you? When I was little, your wings were my home. I'll have to risk it. An attack from the front. You really raised me only to use me in the end.
I thought you were more obedient. Why do you defy me?
I never knew how strong he was. I never imagined fighting him. I don't want our time together to end like this. Why does it have to be this way? Why, Legna? Why? Legna! Do I really have to kill you? Oh no! Is he steadying himself yourself to breathe fire at me.
I carry these memories inside, thoughts of a soul colored by see me grow wings and fly high, passions will
Legna, is this how you want things to end? You're leaving it up to me. Your power energizes me. I've made my choice. Prepare yourself, Legna.
Last two heals.
is wrong
shoot,
with
I'm
this
stuck in here
place?
again.
This is too dangerous.
Good to see you, homie. Struggling a bit. Oh, God.
I can't surpass you, Legna. Is there no hope?
That's it, I have health. What even got me there? Buh. Why is the last phase of that fight so long? Like, he just reduces all the damage I do to him.
A child who defies his father's wishes cannot hope to survive.
I'll have to risk it. An attack from the front. I never knew how strong he was. I never imagined fighting him.
What the fuck, man? Yeah, last level goes on with a much different track.
Do I have to? I have to. I have to fight Legna.
His father's wishes cannot hope to survive.
I'll have to risk it. An attack from the front. Legna, is this my only choice? Do I really have to fight you? I never knew how strong he was. I never imagined fighting him. When I was little, your wings were my home.
I thought you were more obedient. Why do you defy me?
I can't surpass you, Legna. Is there no hope? You really raised me only to use me in the end. I don't want our time together to end like this. Why does it have to be this way? Why, Legna? Why? Do I really have to kill you?
You think you can defeat me?
Oh no! Is he steadying himself to breathe fire at me? Legna, is this how you want things to end? You're leaving it up to me.
I'm really curious. Is there a better way to be doing this phase of the fight? Ah, forgot that Chica was there.
As deep as you dare, there inside you fight destruction you seek. I call out these prayers to the sky, heavy with thought. See your face. I carry
Red tip of his tail takes the most damage. Okay, I thought it might have been like that spine on his back, but I just want to hit little tip. Oh, and then I want to hit his stone in phase 2. Alright.
What is wrong with this place? This is too dangerous. I've made my choice.
Ow.
Prepare yourself, Legna.
these memories inside. Thoughts of my soul. See me grow wings and fly high. Passions will die.
Now for the blue, give me a yellow. Okay. D&D tomorrow? Nah. I don't know when the next time I'm going to be able to get together with my friends is. It feels like never. Where's that weak point?
From heaven
Oh my god, did I get him? Yeah! Woo! Yeah, we moved the schedule around because somebody got like a different work shift thing, and it is yet changed again, and now nobody can find a day for all of us to get together.
It's been that way throughout history, for every race. Goodbye, Legna.
Bye-bye, Legna.
Thank you for raising me.
Now, because this is part 3,
Thank me still.
is there going to be another fight beyond this one?
Sentimental fool. Just like your father.
Mission complete.
Is everyone all right?
Noe, are you all right?
I've surpassed my father.
Welcome back.
The other dragons are fading.
I no longer need to become a goddess.
No more dragons or gods. This is the beginning of a new world.
That's right. The world is finally free from the past. No one controls our future anymore. No one.
At last, the fate of humanity rests in human hands. It's up to us to create a paradise or a hell.
Oh, why'd you have to ruin it?
You're right.
There's no need to worry. Let's start anew, Noe.
Hey, don't forget about me.
Ha ha
You
ha
know,
ha.
I'm a fine senator. No, not merely fine. Outstanding.
You have 2 allies already. You're lucky, Noe.
You're right.
Nana would never smile at me like that. I truly envy you, Noe.
Everything will be all right, my lord. Our future begins here and now.
Is that the end then? I mean, I guess that's a little happier than ending 2, but that hardly differs. Of course, he gets together with Mom. Sorry, Ares. I guess that's finally the end. Ooh. I'm gonna go check that guide to see if I missed something. Wait, what? I kind of don't recall fighting Mana at the end of the second playthrough, but the more I think about it, that is maybe a little familiar. Not the fight I wanted. Oh, this is the first one.
Children's songs we sung.
Oh, yeah, it was just Mana's body suspended in the seed. That one ends with her dying and Eris and Noe just like leading the knights renewed.
I call out these prayers to the sky, heavy with thought, see your face. I carry
This ending just gets us as many people alive as possible. Yay! Wee! I'm still kind of confused as to how that solves the problem of the Watchers, or the Nameless, or the Gods, whatever you want to call them. So originally we were supposed to take that seed, use its power to evolve Noe into the new breed that will have the power to fight the gods and strip them from their seat so the dragons can take over, but it's neither here nor there. But instead Mana takes it, and then maybe gives it to Noe and becomes the new breed anyway. But instead of fighting the gods, he fights the dragons, and that removes the need for any more sealing. Did he even need to fight the gods? Was it just the matter of becoming new breed? I don't know. Wednesday? Yeah, I should be streaming Wednesday. Oh, ending. Oh, controller turned off. Money. Noe's super orb. The nice guy orb. A movie. Alright, I guess I can take a look at what these things are.
This is just gonna be start of the game again, right? I can loop infinitely now. Guess so. Check out the movie selector. Resurrected. Angelus' hatred. Angelus comes in. Sky's falling. Golems versus Lake Dragons. Noah's awakening. Eris deified. So what this is ending A, where Kime defies Legna, and then Eris runs off and becomes the goddess without his knowing. Oh wait, no. Eris deified. Remembering Eris. I guess this is just the ending that. Difficult decision. Battles the gods. Battle. Future credits. Well, the quickest mission to check all this stuff out on is Closed Land, I think. Equip. That's what I get. Glory Orb for more XP, Mind Orb for more mana. That might have been helpful in that last fight, but eh. Life Orb for HP regen. Night Orb for the Night uniform at all times. Whatever. Turn Noe into New Breed. Oh, I can walk around in New Breed form at all times. Outfit Eris with a goddess dress. It's the exact same dress that oh god. Kime's sister. Damn, what was her name? Kime. Damn. Whatever, the former goddess. It's the exact same dress. Get to walk around in levels with Yurik unmasked, or turn Yurik into... don't know what that is. Let's take a brief look at all of them, I guess. We know what Noe looks like in his night uniform. Let's see him walking around on the ground as a new breed. I can outfit myself with stuff. For a third time, is there a different game? No, that was the last one. Now it just like loops infinitely. I can play the game all I want with its like level select or boss fight selector. I don't know how that works. Herd behemoths raised by the villagers, whatever. I'm not here for them. I just want to see Noah. He's okay. He's got a blue glow. That's whatever. God, I just need to get away from these guys. party going on or something? Get away from me. Oh my god. I just wanna look at myself. Piss off. Alright. It is Kime with a light blue filter and the wing thing on his back. Looks much more impressive in portrait. Go that doesn't have any guys. Not really. Did. Oh, look at that, she's a goddess. She even did her hair up the same way. That's, yeah, that's the outfit. Alrighty. Get a good look at Urik's face, I guess. Yeah, he is. Oh, get... There he is. Still don't really know what's going on underneath his shirt, though. He flashed those bandits that one time with some weird, grotesque skin, but, like... He doesn't really talk much about what his wound is, or his curse that he got for making his pact. Is the fact that he can't die both his blessing and his curse? Yeah, who knows? Now what is nice guy, Urik?
Yeah, I guess we don't need the knight medal on anyway, since we're still in Chapter 1. We're still dressed as a knight. Alright, Yurik. You're that one vendor dude? The guy who directed us to his vendor buddies? Or a blacksmith? Maybe you're a blacksmith that directed us to the vendor buddies? What an odd choice. Like, why him? It was Yurik maybe meant to look more like this in a alpha build, like in concept? Yeah. And they just like kept the dude's design? Okay, that's... Well, it sounds the same. Okay, well, that's that then, I guess. I did all of Chapter 12 again. Or so I did... Wow, no. You got to see all of Chapter 12 again. I did a third playthrough for... a very minor change to the... I guess... ending A. That's super underwhelming. Damn. Well, I can now say I have completed Drakengard 2, and I understand why people don't like this game very much.
This distorted
It's not a
world.
innately bad game. Like, there's some fun stuff going on there, and the story is serviceable, but having to go through the entire thing 3 times, no skipping, no mission select,
if I have to fight the gods.
Really poor choice.
I'll fight until the very end.
Thankfully, I don't have to collect and level all the weapons. That's just for
decision is absolute.
bonus
No
modes,
one can
but
object.
yeah.
Let's go, before your comrades perish.
They are the chosen ones, the martyrs.
Alright, well, then I guess that's it for Drakengard. We'll have to hope that the third one proves more... less, repetitive. God, I didn't think Drakengard could be more repetitive, or a game could be more repetitive after playing the first Drakengard, but... oh, that sequel. Yeah, well, I hope the third game is better and gives me the same sort of joy that I got out of the first one.
Love me. I want you to love me.
I was hoping to loop back into that first video again. Well, that'll probably happen on this one. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. We should be back here again on Wednesday to start up a new game. I think I have something in mind, so look forward to it. And until then, take care and have yourself a good night.
This distorted, false world. We call this peace.
It doesn't matter if I have to fight the gods. I'll fight until the very end.
The knight's decision is absolute. No one can object.
Let's go, before your comrades perish.
They are the chosen ones, the martyrs.
Fool, never trust a human.
The truth is worse than any hell.
This is the Red Dragon? It looks like a demon.
There are things we must do.
I'm ready for anything. I'll fight to the end.
I'm glad I met you. Goodbye, Noe.